Okay, so hello, folks. Let's start off another session of the Insta Roundtable. And today's agenda is very special. Today's agenda is about unifying workforces, talent acquisition in a borderless world. So we have leaders from OLX and Lenovo. Unfortunately, Pradeep from Gojek could not join due to some medical emergency. He might be there in the middle of the session. But with that, we started off. Before we start off, a little about ourselves, about InstaHire. We are a platform which allows companies to find talent with 10x more accuracy and 10x less time compared to any solutions in the market. We work with companies like Google, Oracle, PayPal, Amazon, Uber, Target, etc. And we work with a range of startups, unicorns, and even consulting firms. So today we have two very senior leaders from the talent acquisition and HR world. I would like to call upon first Saurav. Saurav is the global head of talent acquisition at OLX Autos. So, Saurav, a bit of an introduction for our speakers, for our folks, and also for our audience who are listening. Over to you, Saurav.
Sure. Thank you, Sarabjit, and I'm glad to be here this afternoon along with Vishal to talk about our career journeys. Uh, but uh, but simply put, I've been a talent action guy for the longest time, 15 plus years. Before that, was a software engineer. So I don't know which part of my career happened by accident, but we'll discover those stories. But in my current role, I manage. Three regions: Asia, Latin America, and US for OLX Autos. We've been on a very fast growth journey in the last 5 years, right from acquisition to consolidation. Right now, definitely for entire budding companies, there is market uncertainty that, like everyone else, we are facing, but it's going strong and looking forward to share more of my experiences during the session.
Okay. Welcome, Saurav, uh, to the conversation. Now we will have Vishal Mansal, who is the head of talent acquisition APAC at Lenovo. So, Vishal, a little about you and what Lenovo is doing, exciting things. So, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Sarvajit. My name is Vishal Bansal. I belong from north side of the country, Rajasthan, Delhi, Punjab, and I have almost 18 years experience. At one point of time, Saurabh and I were colleagues too in Infosys. I have worked in services organizations, like as I
Mhm.
mentioned, Infosys, TCS, and I also have experience in hardware or consumer electronics like Dell, HP, and now Lenovo. I take care of the regional hiring within Lenovo, and also I take care of the Asia Pacific campus hiring for the organization. Lenovo perspective, it's a lot of exciting time for the organization. It is trying to transform itself into tech major, not only remaining the PC segment, which is it is known for, and obviously
Mhm.
it is a market leader in that. But it is also getting into the leadership positions in server storage, even supercomputers also. And as I
Okay.
said, like trying to change itself into a tech major.
Mhm.
You would know almost 40% of the revenue of Lenovo is coming from
Mhm.
non-PC
Ah, okay.
in today's time. So that kind of transformation, Lenovo is already completing and aiming for tech solution digital transformation for its client. And I'm happy to support in this journey for the organization and looking for the best of the talent which will complement all of this effort.
Great. Thank you, Vishal, for joining in. Thank you, Saurabh, for joining in. And before we get into the questions, I would have a few questions about yourself, your personal journeys. So, we have a section which is known as personal journeys, which is more about you as a leader, as a human being, as a professional. So, first, I will go with Saurabh. Can you recount a moment from your early years, perhaps during your school or college days, that hinted or paved the way for your career in talent acquisition and people success?
Sure, Sarabjit, thanks for an interesting question. I, I don't think there's been a single moment that I knew that I wanted to be in talent acquisition, but there have been multiple moments in my life where right from my school an extrovert, outgoing, candid with people. Idea was to connect with people and possibly help in any way possible. I think with talent acquisition as a profession, I was able to connect to people and create an impact. I still remember, like Vishal was talking about, when we were colleagues at Infosys, we would
Hmm.
go to very far flung places across India for campus hiring. And
Okay.
during some of those very, very tiring, thousands of interviews in a day kind of a situation, at the end, when you announce results, I saw not only people smiling, being happy, but I saw a lot of people crying, and I think that's the moment that we touched. I've seen parents crying, so I think it's dreams coming true. It was real, the real that 1 second impact that I could connect with them during their journey, during the fulfillment of their dream. That I really felt that this is one of the profession which has given me a lot of content and satisfaction.
Great. So, Saurav, thank you for the brief introduction about how you came into talent acquisition. Vishal, same question goes for you. During your college days, during your days in school, anything which has helped you pave your way into the talent acquisition world, or hinted that you might be entering into this professional career?
No, I did my MBA with HR, and end of the day, my soul is of HR individual and HR professional only.
Okay.
Talent acquisition is one of the very important, obviously, the segment within HR landscape what we see in the organization. Uh, there is a fact that like almost there's someone like who may mention to me almost 90% of the HR individuals start their career as a talent acquisition or some sort of hiring activity,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how they move ahead up into the career ladder. Um, I was also given a choice when I started with my career with HCL, and over the time I have got opportunities to work with different businesses like different COEs within HR, like comp benefit, resource management, business HR, as well as like HR operations also. But I have remained stick with talent acquisition because it definitely excite me a lot in terms of achieving the numbers as well as giving a broader impression as well as the influencing ability you get from talent acquisition activity. You are on the forefront of all that transformation, as I said, which is happening for the organization, as well as you can see the impact of your effort very clearly in very short time on the ground. And obviously you get to see, you have a very window side opportunity to see the organization thought process, the way they are approaching the business, the market as well. And that's really fascinate me. So I over the time, though I got the opportunities, but like I remain involved and invested in talent acquisition activity.
Mm-hmm.
Coming back again, back to your question, like whether in my academic, whether I had any hint whether I will be working with HR or TA. No, but like similar to like what Saurabh said, there was a inclination towards working with people, working working in a collaboration and trying to add value in that segment. So that always have been the goal, and that's where like HR is all about as well.
Great. Thank you, Vishal, for the insights. And I would like to ask the other question. Start with you, Vishal. So, which achievement do you consider pivotal through your personal or professional life, and how did it shape up your subsequent decisions?
So specifically, like, well, if I take example of professional life achievement as such, I would not say that like I have or I can pinpoint that like I'm really would say that like beyond which I can't go. These overall, like the way you are improving, the overall the way you are working, always have better things, always have a big continuously it keep improvising or increasing your goal perspective. But if you would like to call it out one very specific opportunity which I got in one of my previous tenure, where the collaboration perspective, and it is primarily about where the businesses were not having much kind of growth and all. So when what happens when the water recede, you see the challenges much more coming on the surface or much more visible to the eyes, and that's where like the real collaboration is needed. When everything is going good, no one bother like the pace or like what other hand or other group is doing. But when there's a less work, there's a more challenges, then people become more vigilant. And that's where like the real need for working with each other and keeping them together is very very important. I got one of the opportunity in one of my previous tenure. We got
Mm,
to had to set up one group coming from different geography to India. And this fact that like it was in a very difficult phase, bringing everyone and very thought provoking ideas which we had to build, um,
mm,
that too from the scratch, was really really inspired me for many years coming, following years as well. Why? Because bringing different people on single objective, single platform, is always challenging, because everyone has a different objective within the organization as well. It's not that just everyone wants to have a focus on P&L or profits only. Bringing different kind of nature of individuals and working with them have always been time consuming as well as thought provoking as well. So this ODC setup, which we did from the scratch in very difficult time, and I was collaborating and spearheading also
mhm.
this initiative. And after 3 to 4 months, we successfully delivered that, and it gave me a complete perspective about how organization work within different geography as well as the overall country perspective. That was something which I still get inspiration from.
Okay, okay. Lovely to hear this story from you, Vishal. Saurav, I would go to you for this same question. Which achievement do you consider pivotal through your uh, professional or personal life, and how did it shape up your subsequent decision making?
So, Sarvjit, interesting question, because I would also like to flip this question and say that I think achievements only got incremental, I would say, improvements. Definitely improvements, but incremental improvements in my career. But if I talk about pivotal ones, I would talk about my failures. So I think failures have been really pivotal to where I have been. And I recall at least three instances in my career where I took bold, risky decisions which shaped up
Mm.
as a professional like 200, 300 times than what I would have been otherwise.
Okay.
So when I took one of the things that I realized what made it work is that when I took a risk, I gave 200% of my commitment to making it happen. So
Mm-hmm.
because when you leave, what you were talking about, when you leave an achievement to go and start something else, then you know that you could have been there. What mountain climbers say, that you never get to enjoy that much time at the peak. You
Mm-hmm.
spend days while climbing up, but you don't spend time at the peak which they would possibly enjoy. I think in my case also, I think many times when I felt that I was at the peak of my career, I just shifted gears, and I think those moves definitely were convincing but risky at the same time. I can recall when I moved from software engineering to talent acquisition,
Okay.
years of early software engineering days. My entire team had moved to the US for the client that we were working for. I was the only one who did not, and I think that put a lot of commitment to me. I moved to talent acquisition because I had a strong belief that this is what I want to do for at least some years of my life. I never knew that it's going to be that long. But when I took the decision, I was 200% committed, and I think that shaped me up as a professional. And of course, probably this has been a successful, but there have been moves that I made across industry verticals and
Okay.
across profiles,
Hmm.
and some of them I literally knew that this is going to be a risky move. What is trying to be built is probably never done, and a lot of those things did not get done. The two things that I learned distinctly from those experiences: one, unique experiences which I would not have got, and second, what not to do the next time.
Okay, very interesting. Sort of. So we'll move on to the questions part. So the first segment, which we call as strategies and challenges. I will continue with sort of on this. Then I will go to Vishal for his insights. So sort of as talent landscapes vary significantly across regions. So how do you modify your strategies to align with, say, local nuances like culture, expectations, etc.?
I think, thankfully, I'm speaking for talent acquisition. This function
Yeah.
pretty much across the globe is pretty consistent on a high level.
Okay.
When you look at the execution, it brings in the local aspects, the culture aspects, which are equally important. But when I think of building a global talent acquisition, and here's where I recall year 2019 when my organization OLX Autos did acquisitions across 9 countries. And when the deal was signed in January of 2020, and February we built the task force, March
Mm-hmm.
was the lockdown, so none of us
Acha.
could travel, and I inherited 8 countries with very generalist teams, completely startup-ish, and we
Mm.
wanted to build a global talent acquisition team, and I had to do it the virtual way. There was no guidebook available in 2020 that how
Okay.
remote hiring. I think
Yeah.
those words probably I learned it hard way. Then actually from others' experiences, which I would have loved to. But yeah, coming to your question, if you
Mm.
look at the entire landscape or entire process end to end of talent acquisition, right from your sourcing to onboarding, these experiences are pretty uniform. I think what misses in a global landscape is if you can connect it to the local business, people would
Mm-hmm.
walk forward to make it happen. Because I think at the end of the day, talent acquisition also, like sales function, has a moment of truth. Every interaction that a candidate has is a moment of truth for the organization, and I think that as a leader you have to deliver with a very cross functional team. So if you have a strong objective of what your function can support other functions, that is where possibly you build that connect, where, because see, for me it happened hard way, but I'm sure now that I travel I see the fruits of what we did 3 years back. But during those times, I think there has been enormous teams and leaders who have come
Mm.
on the ground to make our global talent acquisition principles alive. As simple as that. If you see a candidate waiting at one of our offices, just have a chat, offer water, coffee, or whatever cafeteria food.
Mm-hmm.
It just brings that real candidate experience that people care, one of our values. And I think this is where the mix of both has to come. And if you can blend it, then you're the master blender there.
Okay, great insights, sort of. So I will go to Vishal with the same question. So as talent landscapes vary across geographies, across regions, how do you modify your strategies to align with the local nuances and expectations? And as you have led teams who have multi country approach or global approach, so what are your thoughts on this, Vishal?
See, like, especially in today's time, when you're working in multi-country perspective, there
Hmm.
is a lot of geopolitical situation which gets into the
Hmm.
play. Like what you're thinking is working fine in one region, it is basically the opposite fact, both in terms of technology as well as the way you are being perceived,
Hmm.
right? So like if you take example of YouTube also, like on which you are projecting and connecting with your audience, or LinkedIn also, as much as we are using it, is on the other side of the continent, it is not being used in the same segment.
Hmm.
LinkedIn is not there, WhatsApp is not there. And if you look at in other countries like Africa, or maybe like lower end of the Europe, these are not much prevalent in the same technology perspective like we use. Now if as an individual, I would like to see that I have, while being into one country, I have approach or connect with talent in all the geographies. Probably that's not what we are seeing, or what will happen. So the customized solution is very very important. And that factor that, as I said, like from the geopolitical point of view, like how you are playing, or navigating, playing is not a right word, maybe how you're navigating that, because
Hmm.
eventually when you are aiming for a global leadership, you need to be careful about like how, what the sentiments are, and how basically you would be collaborating with everyone into that geography. So that these things are very very careful from talent
Okay.
perspective.
Hmm.
um, I think customized solutions with the localized approach on technology is what I am seeing it. Maybe it may be different with the different organizations, but the investment is going more and more deeper. Investment and collaboration is going more deeper
Hmm.
into the localized approach. What we are observing, and and it is not that like the movement of the talent from one place to another, like this example, like, or maybe before COVID, what we were seeing, that there was a talk about a global village, or like everyone coming together and working as
Hmm.
a one region. Probably that has that we have left, maybe alongside COVID. Every country, each country is looking for, it's very fragmented talent landscape now. There
Hmm.
is the movement within the countries, within geographies, is constrained, and
Hmm.
approach as well. These
Okay.
are new challenges what I see.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Vishal. Great insight. So we move on to the next section. What we have named is technology and human touch. So I'll start with Vishal and move on to Saurav. So Vishal, with technology being the cornerstone of every modern talent acquisition methods or techniques which we have seen, how do you intertwine it with indispensable human touch or the human behavior? And is there any particular strategy or method you have been using or you swear by?
So, like when we talk about technology, especially now in September 2023, everyone is, chanting the name of generative AI and how it will
Hmm.
impact on all the departments of
Hmm.
a typical organization structure, and HR or TA is also not, untouched. So, from that segment, the overall expectation is same, whether even before the discussion comes on the decision, how better we
Hmm.
can save our effort, as far as TA is concerned, how better we can save our effort, just short of the decision, starting from reaching out to the talent, influencing them, reaching out to them, preparing them to, or encouraging them to come and see like what kind of opportunities we have, what kind of culture we have, as well as bringing that talent pipeline into evaluation stage, and then probably reaching to that decision stage. So all those angles are being looked from a very different perspective, but the whole message is same, that how do we save our effort by utilizing technology. So the only part left is for people like you and me to make a decision based on the information available. So that
Hmm.
kind of final product everyone is aspiring for. Multiple tools are there, and we are still waiting for a perfect tool to come, which
Hmm.
is probably a long way.
Hmm. Okay. 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 So, sort of, what are your thoughts on this? Like, with technology being the cornerstone of modern talent acquisition, how do you intertwine it with the human touch aspect? And is there any particular method or strategy or technique which you think will work, or you swear by, and it has already worked? for you?
Yeah, so I think there's no strategy which can really take away the human touch. I think we are human beings. We require that kind of touch. It also kind of depends upon which generation of your audience that you're talking about. But if I
Hmm.
were to include everyone,
Hmm.
then I would say, and I'm a technology guy myself, so I would definitely say that, see, technology can help you automate a lot of stuff which is taking your personal attention, and
Hmm.
where I hold these conversations with my all stakeholders all throughout. If I talk to my CEO and I tell him that I will get you the data in matrices which will have a business impact delivered in your mailbox. So now that we are through that 30 minutes of monthly rigor of just going through the KPIs, can I
Hmm.
ask you for 30 minutes to speak at a university to promote the brand? I think the idea of technology for us is to automate the task which can be done, so that our our leaders, our teams. So to my recruiters, I say we have enabled automatic scheduling. So now that you have that, do you
Hmm.
spend that extra minute with a candidate to ask if they have any additional questions? So it's not about
Okay.
that their work is done. It's
Hmm.
about their tasks are done. The idea of bringing technology to the forefront is to automate all the mundane tasks, and let's focus
Hmm.
on interactions which can which like everyone values.
Okay. 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 So continuing with this, so how do you envision the role of emerging tech, which we are seeing like virtual and augmented reality, generative AI, refining the candidate experience or the candidate delight, increasing the candidate delight?
Yeah, I think it's almost a deja vu kind of situation. So,
Yeah.
this couple of days back, this weekend, I was at Accelerate Jamshedpur. They hold their annual CHRO conference, and the topic was exactly the same:
Okay.
artificial intelligence and generative AI, how it can impact many aspects of HR. And I think together, what we all kind of agreed, we all took back, is that AI can help again in automation, in many other aspects, like I would say processes which are repeated tasks, and it can help you go through that. It can probably look at a I would say job description, say whether it's gender neutral or not. But um, if you look at the overall landscape, I think still there are experiences that people would like to have. And if you talk about AR can bring in some of those experiences. I still remember Vishal would also know that
Hmm.
at Infosys we ran a program, Campus Connect, where we brought
Okay.
thousands of students to Infosys campuses to experience what is the world class software building capability is. I think those are the experiences that you now can scale up, and not only bring thousands but bring lakhs of people together in a single space, or in multiple countries, so no longer at probably a fraction of the cost. And I think this is what AR has solved for, that bringing a consistent experience to everyone who are not present around with you at that moment.
Okay. Okay. Lovely. I will go to Vishal now with his thoughts on how do you envision the role of emerging tech like virtual AR, AR/VR plus generative AI or machine learning and other tools like chatbots, which will also come into play in some cases. So, refining the candidate experience as such. So, over to you, Vishal. Any thoughts on this?
Yeah, like most of the things Saurabh has already covered, but like if I come towards manufacturing side, or like which are more on in in person, or maybe at place kind of profiles, like where you need to go to offices and all. So it is very very important to give that kind of understanding what it entails when you will join to that organization, or even though like if you have like if very specific metaverse kind of understanding where you would be handholding them, giving them training even in a virtual space, which probably will save cost for you as well as it will be very fast as well. So that is one thing which we are very looking observing in manufacturing, or like on the job, or in the place kind of requirements and the jobs and all. But yes, over and over, like it is being felt that like the hand holding of a talent will be necessary through these means, because you can't keep investing in physical assets like buildings, or like bringing or making people travel from one place to another, and other, because hiring numbers are always will be high. So these technologies will play a very important role once we have the market seeing uptake into the requirements and the hiring as well. That's my view.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Vishal. So, Vishal, the next question will start with you. The concept of the so-called workplace is evolving, especially in a uh, like a borderless talent acquisition strategy where you can get talent from anywhere, from around the world. So, how do you envision the future of workplace in this context, and how does it influence your and your team's current recruitment tactics?
Um, Yeah, no, so again, like coming back to my previous answer only, this before
Hmm.
COVID or during COVID, also this borderline talent acquisition was very much prevalent. And I remember while sitting at home and like April May 2020, we were basically discussing that like as on the verge of COVID, everyone is sitting home, hiring has become more easy, and handling over the work also has become easy, because like while being in Bangalore, I can hire someone sitting in Delhi or in
Hmm.
Indore, and I can make them work. But once COVID has finished, and people are again relying on this fact that at least they need to have a hybrid culture, if not the not in the office kind of culture.
Hmm.
And most of the organizations have done away with virtual or like remote culture, what I'm seeing. And there are reasons, varieties of reasons, which organizations and managers are giving. But I see like 80 to 90% of the organizations have gone into either return to office or in hybrid mode. Now coming back to this
Hmm.
borderline talent acquisition strategy, yes, from my perspective, and what I've seen, it usually industry still has retained those tools which it had used for remote hiring during or last 2 3 years. But but this fact that what will how we'll build upon it, probably I still don't see any much changes coming up. Yes, the hiring probably will be much more in the system, not only the reach to the talent,
Hmm.
but assessment part also, which is very important factor, because
Hmm.
previously you used to have like we were just discussing, we used to have walk-in drives for thousands of people,
Hmm.
and then bringing everyone into the office, and then realizing whether the person has that mindset, skills or not. Or if not, then like we will have a filtration mechanism, one first, second and third and fourth round and all that we'll do. But by these online assessment tools, you can already can identify who are going to be useful for your requirements, your organization, and then save time from both the parties. So
Hmm.
that's what I'm realizing, that these tools probably can fill in the gap in what we used to have it earlier. And my efforts in organization is also towards it, that how do we have a more cost effective tools at place to have a shorter duration of identifying talent, as well as the right one. So that's that's where the goal is in front of me.
Okay, great. So, thank you, Vishal, for your thoughts on this. I will move to sort of on this, like, sort of the concept of workplace is quite evolving, and in this world where we can hire from anywhere around the globe, how do you think that the future of workplace in this context, and what are the new strategies which has come into place, or new tactics, or something which is influencing your current tactics on talent acquisition in this kind of world where it's almost fluid. The workplace is almost fluid across the globe.
Sure, Subjit. I think this is the topic which is very close to my heart. I've been
Mm,
the first Future of Work conference that I spoke at 2016. We were looking at what workplace it will be by 2020, and I think we
mm,
have come leaps and bounds beyond that imagination. What so see, I have a strong belief that of the 8 billion people on this planet who go to work every day, the workplace shapes them. And this point, um, at which the entire definition of workplace is in a
mm,
flux, whether you define workplace as the office or home office or a cafe or during commute. While all of this is happening at the definition of workplace, but I still feel that whatever you define the workplace, it's going to
mm.
shape up as a professional what you are going to be. And there's going to be many changes in the organization which are also going to impact individuals,
Okay.
like this rise of assignment wise or project wise hiring, then for a role or for a career, is going to be on rise with this entire gig economy coming in. Now
Mm-hmm.
senior professionals, like the in the consulting world, they get to work across
Mm,
organizations. In the gig world also, people would expect a similar situation. Now what it would mean also for the organizations is that are they ready to absorb this kind of gig talent, which would mean that you're no longer able to influence somebody's willingness to come to work by
mm,
your next promotion and merit increment, because the
mm,
assignment is of fixed length, the person will deliver, get the money paid, and probably move on. How do you ensure that if the person is good enough, the person returns to the workplace once again? So I think it's important to see that the leadership aspect in the organization will evolve. From an employee perspective, finding your next will become more often. And at a lighter side, and on the tech side, we know that it's always very often already with
mm.
the kind of joining ratios. Of course, me and Vishal can swear by in the industry. So so it looks like everyone is looking for their next. But literally, when this will come, when you will have a 9-month assignment in front of you, at 6 months you are bound to find your next. So when that
Yes.
happens, between this assignment and your next assignment, in between,
Mm,
who will take care of your learning? Who will take care of your healthcare, the social support? The For a country like us and many other
mm,
emerging markets, corporations have taken this huge responsibilities to do this with universities for learning and do this with government to provide these benefits. So I think this entire workplace of future, these are the gaps that probably we are walking towards. These are gaps, traps that we'll have to fill to make these employee journeys smooth and leverage the talent best possible.
okay. Okay. So, sort of. So, we move on to the next section. We'll start with you on this. The next section is called the culture and inclusivity, and so the my first question on this is, with access to a diverse pool of talent, how do you ensure that that diversity actually translates to some kind of tangible innovation and growth for companies, uh, and not just be there as a metric? So your thoughts on this, sort of, and then I
Yeah.
will move to Vishal for his insights.
Sure, Sarabji. So this is a question which is quite has contrary views. The reason is that as a society, we've always
Hmm.
been diverse,
Yes.
but when it comes to workplace, why are we not diverse enough? So one is, I feel the workplaces are real reflection of societies. If I take a real time example, that and this point of time, taking diversity example from the gender diversity perspective, my American markets have
Mm,
far more gender diversity at our retail, used car sales points than
mm,
in Asia. Because I what I believe is that the society fabric is much stronger in those economies to let women work at at the second-hand sales shop, which are very crowded market, automobile dealers, very
mm,
very I would say men heavy at certain geographies. So one, that diversity at workplace is to be seen with a societal context also. We can't just push in at one side. If you have a fair representation, on the other side you do not, there is a story behind. That's one part
mhm,
of it. The second part is also to look at the business aspect or business impact. So
mhm,
one of the examples that I would take from my recent workplace discussion is that on the product manager side, we had less women represented than men.
mhm.
But why did we get committed to hiring diversity in those roles? Is because 52% of our app OLX app users are women, and
Okay.
hence it makes sense to have them represented in making the product, so that we are catering to a customer demand. And when a situation like this comes, then everyone across the board is on
Mm,
board to make it happen. But when you make diversity initiatives shine
mm,
in isolation, and that is
mm.
where you lose the sponsorship of everyone
Okay.
and the collaboration and the support for making it happen.
Okay, great. Vishal, your thoughts on this? So I will repeat the question once again. With access to a diverse pool of candidates, how do you ensure that this diversity translates into tangible innovation, growth, and success for the companies, and not just being a recruitment metric?
Yeah, especially from this point, like what already Saurabh has mentioned, that the our expectation to have the right set of combination, whether it is gender or like we see other factions as a, like LGBTQI and even PWD also. So organization is supposed to have the right mirror of the society, so that, specifically the way collaboration and the ideation can work, and because organization itself, the product which is it is making or the services it is providing to the same society for which it is taking the talent from, most of the cases. So that need to be in alignment, and that is the overall goal for everyone. But like it doesn't happen because the workforce is consists of mainly of certain higher sections, in a way, males, what you can call it, or if you look at certain roles like sales or those profiles, probably where you need to go out, it is being perceived that like there will be a higher or lower chances of female participation or LGBT in other aspects also. So how do we ensure that, like, that's a collaborative approach? Metrics will happen, and that always have been the challenge.
Mhm,
But even though there are certain organizations which has higher percentage, few have less. Those organizations which have a higher percentage participation of such talent verticals, whether they are able to achieve their growth very easily. Many studies says yes,
mm,
and probably they are more flexible, they can think more broadly, and they are also it basically gets converted into P&L or like profits as well, because they include many different thoughts into their deliverables. So that's how, like, the expectation is the same, that like once through recruitment metrics and having the right set of people, right set of talent verticals, which mirror the society, you will be able to bring innovation and growth. That's what the understanding is.
Okay, understood. So I will continue with Vishal once on this the next question, and then move to Saurav. With the rise of gig economies and transient work culture, so the gig culture, how do you build loyalty and a sense of long term commitment in a practically borderless talent pool? So, what are your thoughts on this, Vishal?
It's difficult to bring to build a loyalty in gig economies,
Yeah.
because the whole idea behind gig worker and economies is because like they can work as per their expectations or wherever they feel the benefits maximum benefits they can derive from,
Hmm.
but there is very important factor which connects whether you are working on the payroll of organization or you are a gig worker. The
Hmm.
thread which connects all of them is the growth, individual growth. If you are partnering with any organization or any manager, if you are able to learn something, if you are able to collaborate more, and which has a future for you as a company employee or a gig worker, which safeguard your learning and which makes you relevant to the industry. I think that's the thread which connects both the parties very easily and very visibly as well. So if we start having some thoughts around it, some measurement around it, probably we can see long term commitment coming in a much more clear way than just use and throw model.
Okay, okay. So, Saurav, your thoughts on this? How to build loyalty and a long-term commitment in the borderless talent pool with the growth of gig economies and transient work cultures?
So I think I did answer it in part when I
Yeah,
touched about
yeah,
gig
you have touched.
economies
Yes.
in kind of workplace. But I think building on that, one of the most important aspects that I feel which is going to be which will single out for gig economy work culture is for leaders to be able to articulate the purpose for the organization in clear simple words which can inspire each of these individuals. So I don't want to comment on loyalty. Again, this is a very subjective, for some, 1 year might seem a loyalty, for some entire, entire work span of 32 years might seem a loyalty. But I think for the purpose of that journey to be together, I think leaders have to bring a very compelling purpose, because no longer the traditional rewards will lead into a longer play in the journey. Let me refrain from using the word loyalty. The longer play in
Okay.
the journey will only happen if people feel connected to that purpose and people feel that they are part of something which is solving a larger issue and creating an impact.
Okay, I will move on to the next question, which is in line what you have already said about the purpose and belonging. So we'll start with sort of on this, like continuing with that. How do you cultivate a environment, recruitment culture or environment where candidates from diverse background don't just feel included but also feel a deep sense of belonging?
Yes, Sarjit, I would like to apologize. Some of my answers have been leading to the next questions or eating into next questions answers. So, but it's an interesting discussion, and all the
Yeah,
questions are in the thread, building on each other, and so are my
yeah.
responses. So, one part I answered about
Mm,
how do you include by having a purpose where everyone feels being part of the journey, but from an individual perspective in a very diverse environment. I think leaders have to start listening more and
mm,
speaking less, which would mean that they start leveraging the diverse background of their teams to solve problems more creatively. And I think that's
mm,
the whole objective of bringing more diverse people to your work, so that they solve problems in a way which possibly haven't been done in the past. Because if you have
mm,
teams coming from similar backgrounds, with a similar mindset, they're going to solve a problem with one particular way. Not that way is not good; it's great. But when you bring teams from diverse backgrounds, I've seen solutions really out of the window once, and those solutions really make you think, oh, we didn't think about this aspect. And I think there's the strength of a diverse team. But important would be that you create an environment, and if you create this kind of environment, certain very basics of work culture will reflect some things like psychological safety. And are you creating a space where everyone feels uh, comfortable, safe to discuss what we call as wild ideas?
Mm-hmm.
And do people do you celebrate failures so that people are encouraged to suggest, experiment, and come back with learnings? If you have a work culture where you only celebrate winners, then people will try to go with time proven techniques again and again. And with
Okay.
a diverse workforce, then you're killing some of the views that you want to build upon and include those people in this journey. That whole idea uh, may not come to the fore unless you create a space where people can freely express views, and possibly take responsibility, take charge of the situation, try it out, and come back and say that, this did not work. And if you can
Okay.
clap for that and learn from that, I think that would make a more diverse workplace successful.
Okay, great answer, sort of. So I will move to Vishal on this. So Vishal, same question for you. How do you cultivate a recruitment environment where candidates from diverse backgrounds don't just feel included, but also feel a deep sense of belonging?
See, I think like as Saurabh mentioned, we have discussed this answer already in previous
Yeah.
questions,
Hmm.
and I actually don't have anything to add
Okay.
what Saurabh have already summarized.
Mhm.
Uh, Maybe if you have a next question, I can
So
jump first
okay,
on
so
that.
move on to the next one. Yeah, yeah. Move on to this. Okay. As we shift from a location first to a skills first approach, so Vishal, how do you envision transforming talent retention strategies, especially when employees are not bound by geographies?
Yeah, like so. I think this is also similar to like what the gig worker
Hmm.
traits would be, where people are working from home or maybe remote locations and
Hmm.
bound by internet with the organization or the project where they are doing,
Hmm.
and obviously there are different kind of trainings being provided to hiring managers or the business heads, how to engage gig workers, how to evaluate their performance also, and obviously find out of the batch or out of the pool of the gig worker whom you would like to continue working for a very long time, and maybe have a differentiation in terms of ROI or the reward recognitions as well. But again, like as I'm saying, more importantly is to have a win-win situation from both the parties. It's not that
Hmm.
you will keep you will keep forcing people to pick only you as employer there, unless you're seeing there is a good ROI for individual, for a employee and the candidate. I don't think so that will work out very well. So what will be good for someone like who is sitting at home from say 1,000 kilometers away is the way you can include them into your objectives, make it more relevant for them, and also this individual growth perspective. As long as they feel that like they are gaining something by collaborating with you, I think the partnership would go longer. Otherwise, it will be, as I said, like once you conclude the deliverables, probably both the parties won't be talking to each other anymore.
Okay, I understood. So, Saurav, I move on to you for the last question which we have from this section. So, as we shift from location first to a skills first approach, how do you envision talent retention strategies, retaining talent, especially when employees are not bound by geographies?
So on a lighter note, this will make the assessment process very difficult,
Okay.
because if it's a truly skill based hiring, then
Hmm.
assessments won't be about overall good candidate, right fit
Hmm.
for the organization. The assessment themselves will be deeper on competencies that are required for that particular role, and assessment of those, which is very, I would say, objective. So I think that this whole journey is going to be difficult for the organization and hiring managers to be that specific. The other aspect of business that I feel will struggle through this is our ability to forecast the skills of future that we
Okay.
need that we need to hire for is
Hmm.
going to determine what you're going to put on the table in the candidates that you hire. And once we move towards a skill base, and I'm not saying that once I think we are already in motion towards skill based hiring, in especially starting from technical skills, but I think slowly moving on to many other aspects. So when I say technical, I actually mean technology skills. So other areas also, that as
Okay.
you move towards a skill based hiring, you'll also have to ensure that your employee journeys includes rewards and learnings in those skill areas, so that the
Hmm.
employee continues with that journey. And that's going to be another, because now no longer you have an opportunity to switch career paths and say, hey, you want to flip your career. We
Hmm.
hired you for X skill and now we are going to do Y. Not everybody is going to be very excited at that. So the organization's ability to forecast will be really the ace card on the table to really transform the retention, because it can
Okay.
backfire.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, sure. So thank you so much for the insights. I will move on to the last section, which we have, which will have audience questions and a very short rapid fire round for you guys. So the audience questions is the next section. Rajan Kumar has asked, how could you share a particular challenge you encountered in international recruitment and any innovative approach you took to resolve it? Anyone can take this question. Over to you guys.
So maybe I take a dig into that. Not one but many.
Okay.
Like in India, we are used to getting a monthly salary,
Hmm.
and we all know that there are 12 months.
Hmm.
During my initial days of recruiting in some of the emerging markets, I realized that I presented a wrong offer to a leadership candidate. And then I went back and I said, we discussed this salary monthly. So your current base is this multiplied by 12. Monthly
Hmm.
salary into 12 is annual salary. And the person
Hmm.
said monthly salary into 14 is equal to annual salary. And I said, we all are on planet Earth. So it has only 12 months. But in certain
Okay.
countries, the salary is 13 and 14 month. Means first thought was that, okay, this is the country I need to move for in my future, where you get salary for 2 months which do not exist. But I think there are a lot of nuances that you need to learn. Means the aspect of the global strategy is the process, but the local laws and cultures are also very important. Means in one of the countries, and especially taking example where I feel the most of your audience may be from India, and will be very excited to know that their salary is the net salary. So the salary that I discuss, all the taxes are paid by the company. Like, this is like tax heaven, or really the world that you want to be. So I think there are many aspects like this that I learned in the talent acquisition, which were not talent acquisition aspects, but which were about local culture and geography, and they were pivotal to understanding that how different countries have different practices.
Very, very interesting examples, sort of. And so, Vishal, any thoughts on this, or we can move on to the next audience question?
No, I think we can move to the next one. I think we have already exhausted our time as well.
I'll move on to quickly. Priyanka Singh asked, in today's context, how do you go beyond your inclusivity to include equity in your global talent recruitment strategies?
Yeah, I can take this, I guess, especially from equity point of view.
Hmm.
It basically you derive that from the culture which you are aiming to build, or you already have it built in some sort of form. And in TA perspective, it is very very important that everyone is cognizant of what we are trying to achieve, and it is beyond metrics also, so that creating that mindset within the TA group is utmost important. And people
Okay.
um, should know, like as I mentioned in the starting of this call, that end of the day, most of the TA partners are from inside, they are HR professionals, right? And each of them is responsible to create and execute that culture which we are aiming for, we are showcasing to our incoming talent. And that equity play a very very important role. And it always starts from TA actions only. Not only you are hiring the right side of mindset, but also you are letting them, or because you are interacting with the senior most authorities into the organization as well. So our each action, from incoming talent to the existing talent, has connect with equity aspect. And probably this fact that the way we are communicating, the way we are both in verbal and in written to external audiences, has a broader impact on the security part, that like we, and obviously it comes from this angle, that whether we are practicing inside or not, but whether we are able to showcase to the external audience, that confidence will only come when we are able to execute it, and we are able to showcase.
Okay.
Maybe Saurabh, if
Okay.
you want to add anything.
Thanks, Vishal. I think it's been comprehensive. Plus, we are over time already.
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of minutes and then we can close it off. So we have talked about a lot on recruitment side of it. Now we come to few moments we can spend on the candidate part, the candidate or job seeker part. So this is section which is known as golden nuggets. So I will ask each one you one question, small question, which you can uh, give some techniques to the candidates who will also be watching this section. So sort of we can start with you first. In today's competitive job market, how does non-verbal cues, or what we call body language, can make a candidate stand out positively during an interview? Any tips
Yes.
on this? Yeah.
Yeah, I think Sarvjit, we are experiencing this in a virtual world. So I
Hmm.
want to take the question one step further. The
Hmm.
usual basics on how you walk into the room, sit
Hmm.
confidently, and make an eye contact is all going to shatter the moment you enter an interview virtually.
Hmm.
But I think the basics won't change.
Hmm.
That be confident, make an eye contact, bring out your Superman costume, wear it inside,
Okay.
so that it gives you that kind of confidence that you walking into a virtual interaction or a physical workplace. But idea is that when you're able to express yourself, make use of hand gestures that conveys that you're keen for this interaction and you're confident enough to carry that conversation. I think that's the most important.
Okay, great. Vishal, the question for you, from candidates which we have been receiving a lot, is from for your perspective, what strategies or techniques can job seekers employ to present their ideas, innovative ideas or projects during interviews effectively? Because a lot of has been talked about on skill based and uh, giving emphasis on the what the person has done rather than what he or she can do. So, what are your thoughts on this, Vishal? Any tips and techniques for a candidate section? I think you're on mute.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, one of the very key interview technique, or very important interview technique is, and which I also have used it extensively, is to keep the person who is asking questions in your comfort zone, right?
Okay.
If the person will start asking questions and it will start going questions in the segment where you don't know, then it is all the interview will go down the hill. So that's what you want. uh, there are options. When you are giving answer, it is probably should end with the leading question,
Hmm.
so that the person feel that, okay, yes, I got answer, but I have one more question on your answer, so which probably will link your path towards your comfort zone only. And even if it is not working out, there is no shame in saying, I know you are interest into this subject, but my expertise is over here, and I will be more comfortable if you would be asking over here, because my understanding is, and clarity is more over here. And I have encountered many people saying this, that like, I don't know this subject, but these are my strong areas. Would you care to ask questions over here? And
Okay.
the you know when they come out with this statement, honestly, there is, I always appreciate, and we move forward with the areas where they are comfortable. Primarily, I'm talking about fresh early talent hiring,
Mhm.
because in lateral there are subjects and the expertise are very very clearly defined otherwise.
Okay, okay, great. So we close off with a small rapid fire round. We'll start with Saurav first. Saurav, global job boards or niche local platforms?
Niche local platforms.
Yeah. Same.
AI driven screening or traditional human review?
AI driven screening.
Remote first or office centric?
Hybrid.
Okay, lovely. We move on to Vishal. Instant messaging or formal email communication?
No, instant messaging, obviously. Let's
Okay.
talk of the town.
In house recruitment team or external recruitment agencies?
uh, you can't develop domain with external partners, such extensive domain. So internal is what the first preference is, with the budget and the long term objectives there.
Okay. Digital onboarding or in person orientation?
Digital onboarding is much more easier.
Okay, great. So with that, we come to an end of a very exciting session which we had. We are 7 minutes late. So thank you, Saurav. Thank you, Vishal, for taking out time from your busy schedule, coming in and having a great conversation, great insights for all the parties. I think we're involved, and our 2 lakh worth community will love this conversation. And as we speak, we have a lot of questions which I will send you over an email. With that, I close it off. Thank you, Saurav, and thank you, Vishal, for
Thank
joining.
you. Thank
Thank you,
you very much
Sarjeet.
for hosting
Thanks,
me.
Vishal.
Thank you.
Sure. Have fun.
Bye.
Take
Bye.
care.